The headline reads, record numbers of younger women want to leave the US. Desire to migrate among younger American women has quadrupled in the past decade. This is a new Gallup poll. It's a poll that Gallup has done over the course of more than a decade. So the context and the comparisons really matter here. 40% of women 15 to 44 years old say they would move abroad permanently if they had the opportunity. If they had the opportunity, they would leave the United States of America. 40% of women 15 to 44. That's 4 times higher than about a decade ago when the same question was asked. What's also interesting about this is that if you look at previous data, I'm going to show you a little bit of it, that sometimes you can see that there's not that much of a difference or divergence between genders. That maybe you see something different in a certain age group, but maybe not necessarily a divergence between genders. But in this case, there was a pretty significant divergence between men and women. It's clear that young women feel this way in America, where the men do not feel this way. This also applies, not equally, but very closely the same to whether the women are single or whether they're married. So that didn't change anything. Now, although the poll gives a lot of very interesting information, it doesn't provide one clear reason as to why this is. My question for you today is why? And can we actually learn something from the topics we're going to cover in the news today that maybe give us some insight? I'm going to talk to you about a couple things here. You might say to me, well, Jenna, this has to do with the political climate, clearly. One of the things the Gallup poll says is it's not that clear by the data. I'm showing something on the screen here that shows us some graphs so you can properly see US adults overall, women 15 to 44, men 15 to 44, women 45 plus, men 45 plus. Let me just read to you part of this poll. The percentage of younger women wanting to move to another country first rose decisively in 2016, the final year of President Barack Obama's second term. In that year, Gallup surveyed the US in June and July after both parties' presumptive nominees were set for the November election, which Donald Trump went on to win. Just a reminder here, though, because this is important, at the time of the poll, it was not clear who was going to win. President Trump wasn't the only one in the race. Hillary Clinton was in the race as well. Let me go on and read. Desire to migrate continued to climb afterwards. So after 2016, hitting 44% in President Joe Biden's last year in office and remaining near that level in 2025. So you can look at that and say, okay, well, wait a minute. It hit 44% in President Joe Biden's last year in office. It's Joe Biden's fault, President Biden's fault. Is it because President Biden was in office, or was it anticipation of what was to come next? Tough to know. You can't read it through these numbers. So you could read the data each way. And it's a reminder about how data can do tricks depending on what sort of narrative you want to fulfill. So if I wanted to say, man, this is President Biden's fault, this is the Democrats' fault, I could say, listen, this happened, started to move under a Democrat administration and peaked during a Democrat administration. But both of those years were anticipation of another election. So which way do you want to slice it? How, what does that look like? You could go either direction. I love stuff that can go either direction. It makes us think. All right. So what Gallup said is this suggests a broader shift in opinion among younger women rather than a solely partisan one. And that's something that this polling really wanted to make sure to show, which is that it didn't seem like you could easily explain it just by one answer. I'm going to share one with you, but here's another look at women versus men, 15 to 44. So there's definitely a change. Something happens in 2014, 2015, it starts to rise for women, which were, by the way, lower than men previously. And you can see this spike that happens for women in this age group in recent years. Here's one of the reasons that Gallup provided as something to think about. And it's this: younger American women have lost more confidence in institutions than any other group in the past decade. So this includes, the judicial system, the national government, the honesty of elections, the military, goes on and on. So that's something notable that women in this age group have lost a great deal of confidence in these institutions, and we're not seeing the same in men. One could think, well, maybe younger Americans just, they don't have a lot of faith in a lot of institutions. That doesn't sound that new, but it's not. It's specifically for women. So where do these women want to go? This also surprised me. Let me just read this to you. What has not changed is where these younger women would like to go. Canada remains the top preferred destination for younger American women looking to leave. That destination is ahead of New Zealand, Italy, and Japan. I mean, would those be your places too if you were going to leave? So, just a personal note, one of our colleagues for Smarter News, she actually, single woman, has citizenship, dual citizenship. She actually moved abroad recently. She's no longer working in the United States. That's a representation that we're seeing in the Gallup poll. I have another former colleague of mine who has 3 kids and decided to live abroad for at least a year with her children because she wanted a different experience and expose them to something else.